Hey everyone, welcome back to another edition of #AskROBCO with James Wild. Hope you're all well, hope you've had a good week, and we are here to let you know what's happening in the market, what's happening with the latest data, what we're noticing on the ground, and to share all that insight and knowledge with you. So James, how have you been? All good?
Yeah, no, really good, thanks Rob. How about yourself? Are you well?
Really good, really good. Enjoying the bit of the Indian summer that we've had. Obviously a few showers along the way, but it's been great to have good weather, and let's see if September can bring us a good month after a pretty poor August for the holiday season. What have we got this week? What's the latest sales? What's the latest data? What are you seeing out there, James?
Yeah, in terms of data, so new instructions, we're slightly up this week, 245. This is quite subdued on what we've seen throughout the rest of the year. However, obviously, with the last 2 weeks being below 200, this is a positive step as we move into September. Children are going back to school, and I think there's a bit more activity in the market after that sort of stabilisation period that we experienced in July, where the market was very quiet. It was adapting to those higher purchase costs with the stamp duty threshold incentives closing at the end of June. In terms of sold number of properties this week, 152, very positive in terms of the averages throughout the year. That's definitely in the upper quartile of what we've seen, and on the last few weeks it's the highest figure we've seen in 3 weeks, which is a positive. So hopefully we can, that momentum continues through the autumn months, through September, November, and then we'll see how far into December the property market keeps its activity going. In terms of under offer properties, there's 153, so quite a good pipeline in the next couple of weeks. See how many of those are able to get over the line to sell, exchange.
Yeah, and just to be clear, what we're seeing here at the moment is a general increment of both sales and properties coming on the market as we would have predicted, and is seasonal as well. So we've got through the holidays, we've got through the bank holiday, schools have gone back, and now we're seeing new instructions coming on and more sales going through, and I think that's going to strengthen as the month of September moves on, and when we get to October, November, I think we're going to see some really strong months. I think also what we're noticing on the back of what we mentioned last week on that Avenue Road Super Prime deal, we've seen that this year has been a really strong performance for Super Prime, one of the best weekly average Super Prime sales years we've seen in the last 6 years based on our data. And also what we're seeing now, I think this is a key turning point in Prime Super Prime, is that strong Middle East presence back in London over the last few weeks, Middle East, Far East, and that means that travel conditions have changed. It means people are back in London, the West End is busy, the streets are busy. We're seeing a more normalised market conditions, the roads are busy. Just speaking to the taxi drivers, who are a great barometer of what's happening in town, they're saying that they're at normal levels, and if not a bit higher than normal levels, with all of that interaction taking place. So I think that's a really good thing to understand on the ground, especially in London, that there's a lot of people here, the streets are busy, taxis are busy, Middle East investors or owner-occupiers are back in the country, and I only see that as being a positive thing. Wider news, James, what have you got to share with us?
Well, no, thank you for that data, Rob. And just to elaborate on that slightly, in terms of some of the data which we're going to be reading in the press this week, mortgage approvals have slumped to their 1-year low. However, that data is being reported from the July figures, and that July month, as we report in our live data, the sales dropped off, new instructions dropped off, and in terms of mortgage approvals, the data, those are down to 75,000 for July 21, down from the previous month in June of around 80,000, with the July figures being the lowest since July 20. However, in terms of this new activity we're seeing in the market, as the data comes out the next month, in a month's time, we would expect those to climb. I don't expect it to reach the 100,000 peak, Rob, that we reached in Q4 2020. But let's see where that goes.
Great. And wider news, James, for us?
Yeah, in terms of some wider news, we've got just in the market, Natwest has sold their £400 million distressed retail loan portfolio, which is largely made up of some regional shopping centres. Those have obviously, it's been a difficult time for them with lots of rent arrears and lots of vacant units there, which they're looking to redeploy that money from the sale into UK business lending. Just whilst we're talking about shopping centres, John Lewis is diversified further with its plans to sell its fashion range in some Waitrose stores, with that store obviously trying to compete with some of the other supermarkets in terms of their clothing lines they offer, which maybe further underline some of the out-of-town shopping centre trend which we've seen in the last 12 months.
Brilliant, James. Anything else?
In terms of some agency news, I noticed Jackson Stops reported that their plans to open 20 new branches in the next 2 years. So they're obviously on the back of having quite a successful 18-month period with high sales volumes and record revenues for a lot of estate agents, with taking on as much stock as they possibly can, with it being stock shortages, especially in those more regional towns and cities across the UK. So they're not the only agents which are expanding, but some positive news in the market. They're obviously not expecting transaction volumes to decrease too much. They obviously want to benefit from those higher transaction volumes in the market.
Brilliant.
Just on mortgage rates as well, Nationwide has launched its sub 1%, 0.99% mortgage for a 5-year fixed mortgage, which is the lowest ever recorded, as that sort of price war continues between the banks, and phenomenally low for a 5-year fixed at 0.99. It does carry a £1,500 arrangement fee. However, that's sort of over a 5-year period. That's slightly more economic than some of the very low 2-year fixed. We've seen Halifax at 0.84, with TSB now matching that at 0.84% on their 2-year fixed, just subject to their affordability criteria and suitable LTVs on there. So the price war continues there, and whether that will bottom out, I imagine that will continue until the interest rate rise at some stage possible later this year.
Yeah, I think it's a really interesting space to watch what's happening with lending, what's happening with interest rates. Outside of property and lending, it's been a great sporting week. For England, India test match, brilliant. India performed superbly. That's going down to the wire. Let's see if India win or it goes to a draw. We've also seen all of the home nations play and on generally good results, and everyone performed well. Hopefully get as many of the home nations to the World Cup as possible. And finally, a quick mention, Emma Raducanu, who's performed incredibly in the US Open. Fascinating watching her, the first qualifier to reach a semi-final and hopefully a final. And let's see if she can go the whole way. What a star in the making, James.
Oh, definitely. I'll be happy to tune into that.
Brilliant. So thanks for joining us this week. Thanks for always supporting us on all the socials. Thanks for downloading all of the podcasts and watching on YouTube. Super grateful for all your support, and we look forward to interacting, engaging, and continuing providing you with all of the latest insight and data and intel into the property and lending market in the UK. Take care, everyone. Have a great week, and we will see you next week. Thanks, James.
Thanks very much, everyone.